Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 greatest Sega Dreamcast games ever made. Number 20, Space Channel 5. It may not be one of Sega's most notable IPs, at least these days it isn't, but Space Channel 5 still managed to make an impact in the publisher's history. Face off against aliens and rival reporters as Ulala tries to sing and dance her way to saving the galaxy. While utterly bizarre in presentation and short in length, Space Channel 5 was clever in its use of pre-rendered visuals, polygonal character models, and music selection. Some aspects in its gameplay may not hold up to modern expectations, but even today, Space Channel 5 still sticks out as one of the best games Sega put out during the Dreamcast short run.
Let's shoot! Kick, right! Kick! Left, shoot, right! Shoot!
Number 19, Dynamite Cop.
Some modern-day pirates have hijacked a huge cruiser. They're holding 2,000 hostages inside, including the president's daughter.
When it comes to Sega beat-em-ups, most folks tend to gravitate towards Streets of Rage, and understandably so. However, we'd be remiss to forget about Dynamite Cop. Admittedly, there wasn't anything really unique here that we hadn't seen already. It was a 3D beat-em-up loaded with objects that you could use to pummel foes with. And it was so much fun to play as, just as much fun as its 2D brethren. Combine that with the overly dramatic music and ridiculous environments, and what you have is a cheesy beat-em-up that's too absurd to not love. Number 18, Samba de Amigo. Don't worry, we aren't about to go crazy with a bunch of music games filling this list. However, Samba de Amigo is definitely deserving of some recognition here. Whereas most music games default to just making the player push inputs at specific times, Samba de Amigo wanted you to actually get up and move with your own maracas. Shake them in specific directions to nail your beats and land the best grade possible. Of course, a hearty helping of multiplayer modes gave us enough excuses to keep the party going longer than we probably should have. Number 17, Project Justice Rival Schools 2.
Round 1, fight!
Rival Schools 2 does not get the credit it truly deserves for just how ambitious it was for a fighting game. With a roster of 22 playable characters, players had enough choice to build their own formidable team of 3 fighters. Not only that, but every combination of each trio you put together came with their own unique team-up attacks. And as for the story, you could go about it in 2 different ways. While free mode lets you play a standard arcade ladder, the story mode actually guided you through each school's plot and see how they tie in with other characters. It was fairly expansive for its time, and even today the controls and gameplay hold up surprisingly well. Number 16, Sega Bass Fishing.
You're almost there. Be careful. Okay, an average size.
It's hard to believe anyone would call a fishing video game one of the greatest video games ever made, but in the case of Sega Bass Fishing, it truly is one of the best games put on Dreamcast. While it is more or less a straight port of the arcade original, this version comes with 2 extra modes, and a plethora of different lures to catch the biggest fish possible. What makes this game even more impressive is just how good the water and environments look. Sure, the game doesn't demand a lot of technical power, but despite its age, it looks and plays pretty darn good compared to some of the games we've had within the past decade.
This one's huge! Terrific! You've cleared all the areas.
Number 15, Dead or Alive 2.
Get ready, fight!
Speaking of games that play really well, the Dreamcast version of Dead or Alive 2 remains to be one of the greatest ports of an arcade game to ever release. The controls are super responsive, the graphics are captivating, and the fighting feels so good. Honestly, it is really impressive how much detail was crammed into this port, between the environments, character models, and even the clothes. Sure, the jiggly nature might be a bit too much for some, but you just cannot call yourself a fighting game fan if you haven't given Dead or Alive 2 a fair shake.
お前、何を知っている？イプシロンとは何のことだ？
コントロールは解けてるようね。行くわよ。
Number 14, The House of the Dead 2. A launch title for the Dreamcast, House of the Dead 2 was a hell of a way to kickstart the console, even if it wasn't going to be around for long. Even so, this iteration of the arcade game was practically a one-to-one recreation of the original. No compromises to be found anywhere at all. And as for the game itself, House of the Dead 2 features the most imaginative environments and fun enemy designs in the series. But if you do prefer to practice your virtual literary typing skills, you can always just plug in your mouse and keyboard into the Dreamcast for an authentic Typing of the Dead experience, which is just House of the Dead 2 with some typing controls. Yeah, good times.
Too bad. You're better off that way.
Number 13, Ikaruga. Bullet hell shoot-em-ups are a dime a dozen these days, but there will simply never be another game quite like Ikaruga. The coolest thing about Ikaruga is not just the music or the absurd difficulty. No, it's the basic idea of attributing one of two polarities to the bullets you see on screen, and you can switch your own polarity whenever the need arises. Switch to black and you'll absorb black bullets but take damage to white bullets and vice versa. Despite the simplicity behind this concept, Ikaruga can definitely get overwhelming if you let it, but no matter how many times we died to one bullet we didn't just notice, we can't stop playing this game every once in a while. Number 12, Daytona USA 2001. The original Daytona game was already nearly perfect as an arcade racing game. The controls, the use of rubber banding, the catchy Daytona, it was all beautiful. The 2001 iteration that was released for Dreamcast made the whole experience even better. In addition to the 3 courses featured in the original game, Daytona USA 2001 came with 3 of its own tracks along with more cars, more detailed textures and models, and even an online mode to race the ghosts of other players. Why Sega hasn't even bothered porting this version of the game forward with better connectivity is definitely beyond us. Number 11, Grandia 2. Took us this long to start talking about JRPGs, huh? Well, Grandia 2 is among the handful that everyone ought to play at least once. You play as a mercenary named Ryudo, who, after escorting a young woman to a ceremony, discovers said woman possesses a mysterious power. What follows is a beautiful story about mankind and the evils that can make a society thrive and march forward into a more progressive future. It's heart-wrenching, thought-provoking, and at times thrilling to play with its innovative combat system. Number 10, Skies of Arcadia. As other JRPGs relish deep within traditional fantasy and occasional science fiction, Skies of Arcadia stood out from the crowd for its more whimsical steampunk aesthetics. But what made the adventure memorable was how the game focused way more on exploration compared to other JRPGs. Every location you discovered was hiding tons and oodles of secrets between items, towns, secret dungeons, and so much more. It truly made the game feel like an adventure made just for you. Here's hoping Sega finds a way to bring the game forward to modern hardware. We'd love to see that. Number 9, Power Stone 2.
Let the battle begin.
If there was a term we could use to describe Power Stone 2, it's sheer chaos. The original game was already maddening, in a fun way of course, with its various power-ups and unique characters. Power Stone 2 tightens the focus by making these power-ups crucial to winning and removing some of the more hardcore fighting game elements like combos. Plus, you had an entire new campaign in adventure mode where you can unlock more power-ups and weapons, and even combine items for more unlockables. Simply put, it was a party game for the ages, and it's a shame that Capcom did not continue the franchise after this one. Number 8, Jet Set Radio. There just simply has not been another game quite like the funky hip-hop freshness of Jet Set Radio. Zoom around a vast city while collecting spray paint cans to create graffiti and fending off the fuzz. It was a fun and arcadey game that you could pick up and play whenever you wanted to, and the music really sold us on the atmosphere. Jet Set Radio would become one of the few successful Dreamcast games, selling more than 1 million copies across the globe.
That's the track. Yeah!
Number 7, Crazy Taxi. Who's ready to make some crazy money? Well, that's the aim of Crazy Taxi, and it is one heck of a good time, let me tell you. Pick up passengers and bring them to their destinations as quickly as you can while taking them on the wildest taxi ride of their life. While most will reminisce over the soundtrack and quirky voice acting, the real draw of Crazy Taxi was just how many maneuvers you could pull off to boost profits. Use shortcuts, weave through traffic without hitting anything, and leap off ramps to earn even more crazy money. It was a fun romp, and its thrilling mechanics and energetic presentation are why so many players remember it fondly even to this day.
I guess I've been seeing you around then. I gotta get some quick on my next.
Number 6, Resident Evil Code Veronica.
What's wrong, Steve? Shoot him!
Wait! I can't!
While most players gravitate towards RE2 and RE4 for good reasons, you'll find an equally dedicated fanbase champion Code Veronica at a similar level of hype, and they have plenty of reason to. Claire Redfield's standalone game is just as captivating as the mainline series, with its imaginative locations and moody atmosphere. However, the reason why some consider it to be the best is for its technological improvements. The camera is more functional than previous games, and the use of actual backgrounds over pre-rendered ones brought more immersion to the game. Honestly, there's a case to be made here in regards to Code Veronica being one of the very best games in Resident Evil history, but I guess that's a list for another day.
I can't do it! Who did this to you?
That crazy woman told me she was gonna perform the same experiment on me.
Number 5, Soulcalibur.
This victory strengthens the soul of Siegfried.
If you truly want to look at the most graphically impressive games on the Dreamcast, look no further than Soulcalibur. We understand that fighting games back in the day weren't as technically demanding as they are now, of course. But even so, the amount of detail on display is simply astounding. The texture work on the clothing, the shine on bladed weapons, the animation of character clothes in windy environments, the reflection of the water. Heck, it is all so mesmerizing to think that all of this is running on something as ancient as a Dreamcast, and it's doing so without any hiccups whatsoever. Truly a fantastic and revolutionary fighting game and a remarkable port of an arcade game.
Versus King. Final battle, fight!
Number 4, Sonic Adventure 2.
My name is Shadow. Since you were so kind to release me, my master.
Even though we'll rave about Sonic Frontiers or Sonic X Shadow Generations, Sonic Adventure 2 will always be at the top of the greatest 3D Sonic game ever made. And we aren't just saying that because this game introduces Shadow the Hedgehog. Okay, in all seriousness, Shadow is kind of a big part of why this game is so revered so often. Only do you have a traditional adventure with the Blue Blur himself, Tails, and Knuckles, you have an entire campaign of equal length starring Shadow, along with Eggman and Rouge the Bat. As a bonus, you have the accoutrements from the previous Sonic Adventure game, with a fun multiplayer mode and a whole section dedicated to raising chows. It's like having multiple games in one package, and they are all immensely fun to play.
What kind of lady goes around stealing gems anyway?
Those belong to me!
Number 3, Phantasy Star Online. The sad reality regarding Phantasy Star Online is that this game was way ahead of its time. Prior to 2001, online console gaming had really just started its infancy, as developers were kind of figuring out how to properly integrate online connectivity into consoles. And in addition to serving up an insanely fun action RPG, Phantasy Star Online was surprisingly functional in maintaining a stable connection. Couple that with the remarkably flexible combat and weapon system to let players develop their own playstyles, and Phantasy Star Online is easily the most innovative and revolutionary Dreamcast game to ever exist. Number 2, Shenmue.
Ryo-san, you found the mirror? So that's the Phoenix mirror? It's kinda creepy, eh?
We have seen games that push graphical detail, games that pushed online functionality, and games that push for new ideas. Shenmue made a massive push for total immersion all around. Day and night cycles, diverse weather, complete with their own effects on the environment, tons of unique interactive objects, NPCs with their own extensive scripts to follow. It was a complete enigma how Sega managed to squeeze all of this into the Dreamcast and get it to work without any problems. Sure, yes, some aspects may not have aged all that well, but when you do think about the time Shenmue was released, it's hard to keep knocking it for lines like, "Do you know where I can find some sailors?"
Hey, you! Want to check out something? I got some uniforms from the US Navy.
No thanks. Maybe next time.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes.
The battle for survival begins. Engage.
And when it comes to Dreamcast games, fighting games, and ports of renowned arcade games, none have matched the same level of quality, hype, and utter insanity as Marvel vs. Capcom 2. First, you have a meaty roster of more than 50 characters to choose from to build your team of 3. Second, each and every character has unique moves, assists, and hyper combos that can potentially lead to insane combos as you tag in your other allies. And lastly, there's absolutely no compromise with this port. The Dreamcast version of MVC2 is virtually the same as the arcade version, save a few extra modes and some of the roster being locked behind currency. Other than that, this is one of those games that is perfect in every way imaginable.
You win.
What was your favorite Dreamcast game? Did it make our list? Let us know in the comments.